Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, a very good evening. Bhaskar this side. I hope you guys are doing good. Can you just quickly confirm if you can hear me and you can see my screen as well? Okay, thank you, Raghavendra. So let's wait for a couple of minutes. Others can also join, and we're going to start the session, guys. Okay, okay, guys. So let's start today's session. So Sundarani is having some issue. Okay, no problem. We are going to do lab today. Okay, then you can see how to sign up to that IAM user. Okay, we are going to complete the lab today. So you can just refer the steps. Fine. Okay. So yeah. Thank you, Manish. Dheeraj, I have not completed any lab yesterday. Okay, don't worry. Uh, so I just want to know first of all, has anyone tried the lab? Have they completed the lab? Just want to know. Okay. Okay, I'm getting few responses. Okay. Okay, no problem. If you tried, that is enough for me. Because if you're trying something, definitely you would have learned something. We are going to complete that lab. So before ending the session, in briefly, I'm going to complete the lab. So first hour we are going to dedicate to the learning. Once we will come back from the break, we are going to complete the lab, and then we will start with the following session. Okay, guys. So let me take first. Let's revise. Okay, what we have learned yesterday. So yesterday we have discussed what is the ENI, route tables. Then we moved to the networking part of VPC, where we have learned multiple networking VPC networking components like internet gateway, NAT gateway, VPC sharing, VPC pairing, your transit gateway, VPN, and your that direct connect. These were the components we have discussed. So a lot of learning was there yesterday. Let me take few questions. Then we're going to start with the session. So my first question is how, which component is used to connect your private IP to your EC2 instance? Which component is used to connect your private IP to your EC2 instance? Chinna? I'm repeating the question for you. Please answer it correctly, okay? Your answer is not correct. Which component is required to connect to connect your private IP to your EC2 machine or to map your private IP? Anything. I got a few answers. Those are correct from Raghavil, Durgashwani. Very good. What about others? We are around 35 now in the strength, and I am getting a couple of answers. That's not good, guys. Where is money? Money? No. The correct answer is E and I. Question I was asking, which VPC component is used to connect your private IP to your EC2 machine? So the correct answer is E and I. Ashwini, Durga, Raghav have got the correct answer. Guys, please listen to the question correctly, okay? Because similar kind of a question you're going to get in the exam too. Okay, so I have, I have created a, multi-tier application. I've deployed that application on Amazon VPC, AWS VPC, and my database tier is in private subnet. And I have built the database on my EC2 instance. Now I want to, patch that data, patch the database. I want to do the software upgrade in that database server. So how is it possible to do a software upgrade in the for the database which is inside the private subnet? Which component is required for that? Yo, give me both answer, guys. Two components I told you yesterday. Two components. Your answers are good. Tell me one more component. Yeah. Two components are there which can do this activity. So answer me both components. So the correct answer is net gateway and net instance. No, Raghavendra, that's a different concept endpoint. I was asking about how you can patch your database inside the private subnet. Okay. Okay, so let me take one more question. Okay, so whenever you create the route table, so by default, the local route is created or it is not created. Whenever you create route table, does this local route is already created by default or you have to create the local route from your end? Yes, very good. It is automatically created. It is used for the local communication inside the VPC, all the internal communication inside the VPC. So by default, it is created. Okay. So can we attach a single subnet to multiple route table? Can we attach a single subnet to multiple route table? Yes or no? Guys, listen to my question correctly, okay? Can we attach a single subnet to multiple route tables? So the correct answer is we cannot. As I told you, a single subnet will be associated to a single route table. A route table can attach multiple subnets. Both are different things. Okay. So please revise your concept. The answer is no. Okay. So let me take another question. Okay. So how you can connect two VPCs inside the same region, inside the same AWS region? How you can connect two different VPCs inside same AWS region? Very good. Yes, the correct answer is VPC pairing. Does VPC pairing support transitive pairing? Yes or no? Does VPC pairing support transitive pairing? Yesterday we have learned this concept. No, it does not support. Very good. Okay. So now I want to connect S3 bucket to a EC2 instance which is inside my AWS VPC. How I can connect my S3 bucket to EC2? Which component is required? I have a EC2 machine which is acting as a web server which is inside the AWS, which is inside the AWS VPC. Now I want to connect a S3 bucket which is outside VPC to this EC2 instance. How I can connect that? I got a very specific answer from Raghavan. Very good. Yes. So the correct answer is VPC endpoint. Inside it we will use gateway endpoint. Very good. Okay. So let me take another one. Another question. Okay. So if you want to connect your AWS VPC to your on-premises using a high-speed connection, which component you will use? A high-speed connection, more secure. You want to connect your application, which is inside your AWS VPC, to on-premises to create a hybrid solution, which is more secure and very fast. The correct answer is AWS Direct Connect. Very good. Because a VPN is there, but it is not as fast as Direct Connect. Because the VPN gives you maximum data transfer speed of about 2.5 Gbps, while Data Connect will give you speed up to 10 Gbps, which is 4x greater than the VPN. Okay, let me take if there is any other question which is left. Okay, net is covered. Okay, endpoint is covered. Okay, so when you're using this VPC sharing, so which VPC component you are exactly sharing with other AWS accounts in the same organization? When you are using VPC sharing, which VPC component you will exactly share with other AWS accounts inside the same region? No answers? So what we are sharing? Yeah, very good, guys. I got a correct answer from Komin. Correct answer is subnet. So you're going to share the subnet. Inside the subnet, now users can create their resources as per their application. Okay. So I think I've covered almost all the topics. So let's start with the section 4 now, which is your VPC security part. So we're going to do learning for an hour. Then we're going to switch to the lab. Okay. So let's start with section 4, which is VPC security. So now inside this section, we are going to learn all the security components of VPC, whether it is, like the different kind of a firewalls we are going to learn. So let's start with this. So the first VPC security component is security group. So security group is directly attached to your instance, like your instance, EC2 instance or EC2 machine or EC2, EC2 instance or EC2 machine. Okay, or EC2 server. All are same thing. So these security groups are, they are used to control the traffic, which is entering your, which is trying to access your application on EC2 machine. So these are the firewalls. Security groups are also known as firewalls, which are used to control the traffic region towards your instance, EC2 instance, because the security groups are directly attached to your EC2 instance. So whenever you're going to launch a EC2 machine, that time you have to attach a security group to your EC2 machine. And inside the security group, whatever rules we are going to, whatever rules we are going to mention inside the security group, according to that, the data will be transferred from those ports towards your EC2 machine. So this controls your traffic going towards your EC2 machine. That's why security group acts as an instance level, because it is directly attached to your instance. So look at this diagram. If you see the diagram, inside the public subnet we have one EC2. This is the sign of a EC2 machine, and on that one security group is directly attached. Same inside the private subnet we have an EC2 machine, and we have a security group which is attached to your private subnet. So these security groups are reusable. If suppose you have created a single security group and you want to attach a same security group to multiple EC2 instance, that is also possible. So you can reuse these security groups as well. So now first thing you have to understand that security groups act as an instance level. Why it is acting as an instance level? Because this EC2, because these security groups are directly attached to your EC2 instances. That's why they work at instance level. Now you understood what is security group. These are the firewalls which controls your traffic going inside and outside to your EC2 instance. That's a simple definition. Now there are two kind of traffics are there, guys. One is the inbound traffic, one is your outbound traffic. The same way, the data inbound and data outbound. So You have to open the ports. At the security group, how you are going to control the traffic? By opening the specific ports, because data travels through the ports. So suppose if you have created a web server, and that web server is having, like it is a HTTP server, which requires port number 80 to be opened for communication. So if you are not going to open port number 80 under the security group, then none of the customer traffic reach your EC2 machine. That's why you have to open a specific port on the security group configuration. That's how you can control the traffic at instance level. Okay, so this is, now let's understand more about security group guys. So security groups has rules that controls inbound and outbound instance traffic. So inbound is your incoming traffic and outbound is your outgoing traffic. So the request which is coming from customer is the inbound traffic for your EC2 machine. And when we are sending the response from the server to the customer or to the client machine, that is the outbound traffic that we already know. So I've just given you a, just revise, we have revised that part. So we have to create the rule for inbound and outbound traffic. So default security group denies all inbound traffic and outbound traffic. So whenever there will be a default security group, that won't allow anything. So you have to add the ports. So look at the example. Look at these. Two these tables are there. One is for inbound and one is for outbound. Before that, I will tell you security groups are stateful. Stateful means you don't have to maintain the state of the traffic at outbound port. Now let me tell you in a very simple way. So for example, by default, like by default it is telling it will allow all outbound traffic and is going to deny all the inbound traffic. That means if suppose you have opened port number 80 at inbound, you don't have to explicitly open port number 80 at outbound, because by default it will allow all outbound traffic. That means it is stateful. Security groups are stateful because you are not maintaining the state of the traffic at outbound level. You only have to open the ports at inbound. Like whenever suppose you want to you want to access your you want to securely access your EC2 machine. Like you have created one EC2 machine. Now you want to access that EC2 machine. For that you have to open port number 22. So you only have to open that port number 22 at inbound rule. And by default, that port will be automatically opened at the outbound, because outbound traffic is automatically allowed by default. That's why this security groups are stateful, because you are only maintaining the state at inbound level. Outbound, automatically the port is open. Okay, that's the meaning of stateful. Okay, so now this is then configuration of inbound. This is how there will be one source, a protocol, and there will be different port range and some description. So we are going to create a security group guys in this lab, in this this VPC lab. Then I'm going to tell you about this stuff. So these are the configuration. That's how the inbound and outbound configuration looks like. So at outbound we are not going to open we are not going to open any port, because by default everything is open. Okay, actually I'm going to repeat you, okay, this part. So we were discussing about that these security groups are stateful. How it is stateful? Because we don't have to maintain the state of the customer traffic at outbound. Okay, which simply means you only have to open the ports at inbound rule, and by default all the traffic will be traveling through outbound, because by default all traffic is allowed at the outbound. That's why you only have to open the port at inbound, not at the outbound level. So let me give you an example, Ashwani. So I was taking an example. If suppose you want to securely access your EC2 machine, you have created one EC2 machine. Now you want to access that EC2 machine from your local system. How you can do that? For that also we have to open one port number 22. So you only have to open the port number 22 at inbound level, not at the outbound level, because automatically it will be opened at outbound level, because it by default it allows all the outbound traffic to go through this server. Okay, Ashwini, is it clear? That's why these security groups are stateful. Ashwini, okay, great. Okay, port 22 is for secure SSH connection, secure shell connection. Money. Secure shell means if you want to access your if you want to access your machine, EC2 machine, the cloud, that virtual server from a local machine, you have to open port number 22. The communication goes to port number 22. We are going to experience that, don't worry. Okay. So now what is stateful? I'm just telling you, stateful means that you only have to maintain the state of the customer traffic at inbound level. That's why it is stateful. We are only maintaining the state of the traffic at inbound level, not at the outbound level. That's the meaning of stateful. Okay, Gajana, is it clear? Is it clear, guys? Going to proceed further. Okay. Now let me tell you some more things about security groups. So we are going to create the custom security groups. So we are going to add different kind of a code. So look at the example of inbound now. I was telling about port number 80. Look at the source is internet IP, and I've told you, there will be different kind of a protocol. So for HTTP, we follow this TCP protocol. So there are different kind of a protocols in the network. So this will be automatically selected. You don't have to, do any configuration for that. Now understand this. Suppose we want to open HTTP port for our web server. So for HTTP, we have port number 80. For HTTPS, that is your secure HTTP, we have port 43 port. And for your SSH, which I was talking about, is port number 22. So this is the custom security group. So based on your requirement, you're going to open the port. Suppose this is the configuration for web server. So web server, web server needs, for web server, HTTP traffic is going to hit your web server. So for allowing the HTTP traffic, what ports you are going to open? For HTTP, you are going to open 80 port. For HTTPS, which is a secure HTTP, you are going to open port 43 port. And now, if you want to access your EC2 machine, suppose you got some issue, okay, guys, and you want to troubleshoot the issue. For that, you want to access the machine. How you can do that? Using port number 22. So you have to open the port number 22. Then only you can securely access that machine from your local system. So there are, there are different kind of ports are there. Yeah, port number 22 for SSH. Yes, Vishnu. So there are port number. Apart from that, there are multiple port numbers. So suppose whenever you are working on different tasks, you can check out, okay, like which port is associated to which service. Suppose if you want to access, like MySQL or Oracle database from a web server, there are different ports. So you don't have to bug up the ports. Nobody is asking which port is there. But these are the general, like once you will start working on this kind of a technology, then definitely you're going to automatically recognize which port is used for which purpose. So this was about your like inbound rule. Now look at this. We have not opened 80, 443 or 22 port at outbound because that is not required. We have opened some other port like 1433, which suppose we which is using our EC2 machine to connect a database server. So we are not maintaining the state of port number 80, 443 and 22 at the outbound rule. That's why it is stateful. Here outbound we are opening some other port because we also want to connect our our web server to our database. For that, they have opened port number 1433, which is allowing, which is for like MySQL server. That's a different port. Okay, that's why it is stateful. So all rules are evaluated before a decision to allow traffic. So one thing is there, okay, in security group, you can only have a allow rule. So look at this. These are all allow rule. This 80, 443, 23, you are allowing the inbound HTTP access, you are allowing inbound HTTP access, you are allowing inbound SSH access, and outbound also, you are allowing outbound Microsoft SQL. There are no deny rule. You cannot add any deny rule in security group. That is one limitation of security group. You can only allow something. But suppose, if you want to restrict some IP, if suppose, for example, your application is running. Now some suspicious IP is trying to access your web server. So since you have allowed this internet traffic through port number 80 and 443, so suspicious that IP is also trying to access your web server. But since you don't have any deny kind of a configuration, so you are not able to deny that or restrict that IP to access your web server. So for that, we have another level of security that we are going to understand in the coming, coming section of this course. Okay, so security groups are now clear, and don't worry if these inbound and outbound rules are seem to be a bit confusing. Don't worry, we are going to create these rules multiple times throughout this whole course, so that will be clear to you guys. Okay, but what we write in inbound and outbound, you just got an idea here. Okay, So now I'm telling you, like I was telling you, that security groups lacks the deny configuration. So for example, if something we need to, if suppose we need to deny, restrict any suspicious IP, accessing our web server, that is not possible with security group firewall, but that is possible with network access control list, known as NACLs. That is possible with NACLs. So we have a NACLs, okay, which also act as a firewall, but they work at subnet level. These guys, these components works at subnet level. So what happens once you will be creating the subnet, these components will be placed outside subnet and they are attached to subnet. So security groups are inside the subnet attached to a EC2 machine, and outside we have subnet, and outside at subnet network ACS are connected. So now suppose if there is any suspicious IP coming to your web server, coming to your web server, then you can handle that IP. You can restrict that IP at subnet level. So that IP won't be entering your subnet only. That's how you can. That's why NACs are more powerful as compared to security groups, because here you can also add the deny rule. Now how to add the deny rule? We are going to check in another slide. So here look at this. I told you these works as how here it is written network ACS works at subnet level. I told you how, because these are attached to the subnet. So inside the subnet we have EC2 machine, and EC2 security group is attached. Outside subnet, what is attached? NACLs. That's why NACLs works at subnet level, guys. Okay. So NACLs are also the same. Like if you want to define NACLs, NACLs are also firewalls which is used to control the traffic at subnet level. What was about security group? They are controlling the traffic at instance level. Here we are controlling the traffic at subnet level. So this is also an added security, component. So having both security level at instance level and your NAC is at subnet level gives you a very tight security in your VPC. So you can configure both these components of VPC in your infra, and then definitely you will have a great security for your application. So this is now clear what is subnet. Okay, where it is attached. Now let's move ahead for some, discuss more about this NACLs. So look at this. A NACL has separate inbound and outbound rules, and each rules can either allow or deny. I've told you can allow or deny. So that's how we can allow and deny the traffic. Default network ACL allows all inbound and outbound IPv4 address traffic, and network ACLs are stateless. Now, one difference. There are two differences we come to know. We have just now learned between secret group and NACL. The first one is secret groups works at instance level and NACL works at subnet level. The second is that security groups only have allow rules. Network ACS have allow and deny rules. And the third is that this security groups are stateful and NACLs are stateless. Why it is stateless? Because you have to open both ports. Now you have to open both port at both level. You have to open, you have to maintain the state of the traffic at both inbound and outbound rule. That's why. Okay, so look at this. At the inbound, suppose at the inbound, if suppose I'm allowing, I'm opening port number 80, so the same port has to be opened at outbound also, because networks are stateless. And this is how you can you can specify. If suppose you want to add add a allow configuration inside the inbound configuration, you can write it like this. You can also write the deny. But one thing you have to make sure, you should always write deny rules on the top, because these rules are evaluated from top to bottom. For example, if there would be any rule which is written at rule number 1, that will run first. Then rule number 2 will run, followed by rule number 3, rule number 4. So you have to make sure whatever thing you are trying to deny, you should add it at the First one, NACs work at subnet level and security group works at instance level. NACs are stateless and security groups are stateful. NACs have both allow and deny rules, but security groups only have the allow rules. These are the main differences between NACs and security group, and both are your VPC security components, guys. Okay. So some differences between these is, first of all, the scope. So scope of security group is at instance level. We know that, and for NACL it is subnet level. Supported rules, only allow rules are supported for security groups. At NACL level, both allow and deny rules are supported. The third one, the state. Security groups are stateful because the return traffic is automatically allowed. We are not maintaining the state of the traffic at outbound because return traffic is automatically allowed regardless of rule, because by default outbound rule is already allowed, guys. Okay, and look at this. NACLs are stateless. Return traffic must be explicitly allowed by rules. Definitely, if I am writing a rule for allowing the internet traffic at port number 80, the same rule I have to maintain it outbound as well. That's why NACLs are stateless. Order of rules. All rules are evaluated before decision to allow traffic. The same thing. There is no kind of a decision making at security groups. All rules will be evaluated. Suppose I've written a rule like on a third column to access 22 to access my instance with port number 22. That will be evaluated. If so, all the traffic will be coming and they are going to search the port. They are going to enter to a web server. So we are not making any decision over here. But at NACL, we are making the decision. Rules are evaluated in numeric order. So first one will be evaluated at the first place, followed by the second, third, and so on. So before decision to allow traffic. So first of all, we are making a the rules are getting evaluated, and based on the rule only, we are deciding whether this IP is going to hit my web server or not. That's the power of NACL. So these are the differences we have already explained you. And I have explained you further. So these are the main differences between security group and NACL side. Okay, now there will be one activity, one homework for you. I think you guys would be having access to Canvas. If any one of you is still not able to access, please take the screenshot. So you have to build a VPC, like this is the these are the VPC diagram. Like that, you have to build a VPC diagram for this scenario, guys. I'm going to explain the scenario, and for that you have to build this VPC. So tomorrow I'm going to show you the solution, and then you can just match that solution with your with the VPC which you have created. You don't have to submit these like a VPC design. Tomorrow you can just match your solution with my solution, guys. So the scenario is that you have a small business with a website that is hosted on a EC2. So we have a website which is hosted on EC2 instance. You have customer data that is stored on backend database you want to keep private. So we have a database also where customer data is hosted, and that you have to keep in a private way. You want to use Amazon VPC to set up a VPC that meets the following requirement. Now these are the requirements. Based on that, we have to design a VPC. First requirement is that your web server and database server must be in a separate subnet. So there will be two subnets. One subnet will be having a web server, other will be having a database server. The first address of your network must be 10.0.0.0. So this will be the IP. And now you have to create the IP range. Each subnet must have 256 total IPv4 addresses. You have to make sure that with what network prefix you have to divide so that you will get 256 total IPs. You all know these things. So based on that, you have to calculate that. Your customers must always be able to access your web server. So you have to attach some components so that your web server is already like every time it is reachable to your customer. Your database server must be able to access the internet to make patch update. So database server should not be directly accessed through the customer. It should be only like you should be only able to the database should be only able to access the internet to do the patching. That's it. Your architecture must be highly available. Make sure the architecture is highly available and use at least one custom file layer. So either you can use like you can use both file layers. I will ask you to use both file layers, NACL and your security group. It is asking you to use at least one, but please use both. So this is a design based on this, based on this requirement, you have to design a whole VPC. So if you have access, you can just check the student resource and get this activity done. Otherwise, you can just take a screenshot of this and please perform this activity. Tomorrow I'm going to show you the answer, guys. So this is how you're going to design a VPC. Okay. Okay. So please explain 2 point. The 2 point is your, the first address, like this will be your address. So you have to create a, all your, what is it, IPs, which will be attached to your machines inside the VPC will have the starting point of this address, 10.0.0, then the digit will be modified, guys. So this will be your address for VPC CIDR block and your subnets. So you have to make sure the bigger will be your the bigger part will be your bigger CIDR block which belongs to your VPC, and then you have to create a CIDR block for each subnet which can have 256 total IP addresses maximum. Okay. Okay, man, is it clear? So please complete this activity tomorrow. Nothing, just you have to create one CIDR block for your VPC and two CIDR block for your subnets. That's a simple explanation of this point. So please complete this activity. We're going to discuss the solution tomorrow. So what we have completed in this section 4, let's check out. So build security in your VPC architecture. Okay, so isolate subnets if possible, and choose the appropriate gateway, device or VPN connection for your need to use firewalls. So mainly, you have to isolate your subnets. Okay, make sure that your web server is in different subnet, and your and these subnets are in different availability zones. And then you should always use the firewalls. And we have a security groups and NACLs, which are the firewall options inside the VPC. That is what we have. Now, highly available means that that your servers would be in multiple availability zone. Okay, that the solution is highly available. That means whatever resources you are going to launch, that would be inside different. Suppose in availability zone 1, you have created your subnet 1. In subnet 1, we have a web server. In availability zone 2, you have created subnet 2, and there we have database. So it is a highly available solution. Okay. Okay, so this is what we have completed in section 4. Let's move to section number 5. So before that, we have a lab 2. Let me just introduce you to the lab 2, which will be your homework. We are going to discuss this lab 2 also tomorrow. So 2 homeworks will be there for you today. Okay. This will be a scenario for lab 2. In this lab, you use Amazon VPC to create your own VPC. You are going to create your own VPC and add some components to produce a customized network. You create a security group for your VPC. You also create an EC2 instance and configure it to run as a web server. So, you have to create, I told you, we are going to create a security group in the lab that you have to create, and there will be one additional learning in this particular lab, that is you will also learn how to create the EC2 instance as well, guys. That we are going to launch inside our VPC. Okay. So you also create an EC2 instance and configure it to run as a web server and to use the security group. So that EC2 machine is going to use the security group which you have created. You then launch the EC2 instance inside the VPC. So we are going to launch that machine inside the VPC, and then we are going to test the web server. If we are getting a response from the server, that means our VPC setup is successful. Okay, so this will be the task. There will be 4 main tasks will be there inside this. First will be to create a VPC, then to create some additional subnets also, then to create a VPC security group, and finally to launch a web server instance and to test the functionality of the whole stuff. Okay. So this will be the final product, guys. So once you will complete the lab, this is what going to be created. So look at this. Here there will be AWS region. Inside that there will be 2 availability zones. So one internet gateway will be connected. You will have 4 subnets, 2 public and 2 private. So inside the and all are having different CIDR block, nothing is overlapping. And look at this, for public subnet 1, inside you're going to create a net gateway, and for public subnet 2, you're going to create a web server. You're going to attach a web server with security group, and you're going to do the testing. This will be your public route table and private route table. This is a guided lab, so don't worry. Just go through the lab. Just read each and every instruction and perform that. Understand that step and perform. Before performing any step, let's try to understand what we are going to do in this particular step, guys. Tomorrow we are going to discuss this lab, and whatever will be the key takeaways of this lab, I'm going to tell you in between. So this is your homework number 2. So you are having 2 homework. Tomorrow we are going to discuss both. Okay. So now let's move to section number 5 of this course, where we are going to discuss about Amazon Route 53. So Route 53 is a DNS service, domain name system service. So it is a service which helps you, from here, there are 2-3, features of this service. The first feature is that it maps your domain name to your underlying AWS resource. Like suppose, google.com. Let's talk as google.com. So www.google.com is a domain name. And definitely that google.com application is running somewhere on some servers. So how that google.com domain got attached to the EC2 machine? For example, suppose it is running on AWS. Okay. So how it got attached to that particular EC2 machine? It is with the help of Route 53. So it is used to, it helps us to map the domain name with our EC2, with our AWS resources where the application is hosted. The second feature of this Route 53 is that you can also purchase the domain name from here. Domain name means, suppose today, Ashwini is planning to launch a fashion website. So he has created the website, but definitely you won't be, if suppose, there's no domain name. Okay, suppose, he's trying to give, ashwinifashions.com. That is more readable to me. If suppose he is not using the domain name and he's actually giving an IP address to each and every one of that EC2 machine. Okay, using this URL, access that. It will be difficult. Nobody can remember that IP address. Can you remember IP address which you have used for a previous machine? No. But definitely you remember google.com because it is human readable. So now, you suppose, Ashwini, Ashwini want to purchase a domain name so that it is readable by human and humans can remember his website with that domain name. So that domain name can also be purchased with the help of Route 53. So you have to pay some amount and you can get a domain name, and for each year or month wise you have to, resubscribe so that the domain name will be available to you only. That's how you can also purchase domain name. Apart from that, if you don't want to purchase domain name from Amazon Route 53 service, then you can use a GoDaddy also. GoDaddy in India, okay, there is one website known as GoDaddy. From there also you can purchase the domain name. Suppose in future, if you're planning to launch your own website and you want a domain name, you can purchase from GoDaddy, and that domain name also you can use it here on the Amazon 53, Route 53 to map your DNS to your AWS resources. Okay, so now you understood this Route 53. It is a domain name system service. Now let's discuss about this Route 53 more. Okay, so you understood the 2 main features of Route 53 which I have told you. Let's discuss more details about this Route 53. Route 53 is a highly available and scalable domain name service. Actually, Route 53 is also a global service, guys. It is not, belonging to any region. It is a global service which is highly available. Okay, and it is also highly scalable. So you don't have to configure this particular, Route 53 service. And it is a domain name system web service. It is used to route end users to internet application by translating name like www.example.com into IP address. That is a main functionality. So I've told you the same point in different way. Like it is mapping your domain name to your IP. The same way it is trying to telling that it is going to translate your domain name into the IP address. So ultimately, this domain name has to be attached to IP address, and this IP address is the address of a machine which is hosting your application. Okay. And third point is fully compliant with IPv4 and IPv6 address. It supports both IPv4 and IPv6 address. Connects user request to infra running on AWS as well on outside AWS. So suppose like you can also use the service outside AWS also, because if suppose you are purchasing any Route 53 like a domain, if you are purchasing any Route 53 domain from Amazon, that also you can use outside Amazon also. That's why it it can be used inside AWS as well as outside AWS. The same way, if suppose you are purchasing any domain from outside Amazon, like from Google, GoDaddy.com, then you can use that domain also on Amazon Route 53. It is used to check the health of your resources. These are the additional feature. It also has a feature. Like there are different routing policies are there, which we are going to discuss in the coming slide. Based on that, you are going to get few questions in the exam. So, it also has a feature to check the health of your resources. So whatever resource, suppose this domain name was connected to a resources. What is the resource? Suppose the EC2 machine, which is hosting your application. So this is also going to check the health of this EC2 machine, whether that EC2 machine is healthy or not. Healthy means it is active and running. Non-healthy means or like unhealthy means that particular server is down. Okay. Features traffic flow definitely. Route 50 helps you to to control the flow of the traffic at DNS level, at domain name level. From there also they can control the traffic. And the last one is enables you to register domain name. I told you this is one of the features where you can also register a domain name, guys. Okay. Is that like somebody else? Is that also like GoDaddy giving domain? Yes, Vishnu. This is also like a this is also like a what do you say? GoDaddy, which is where you can also register your domain name. Yes, Vishnu. So compliant means which is adhering all the policies and rules. That's the meaning of compliant. Suppose Ashwini, suppose you are in your college, like you are in college. Okay, and there are some policies which are like you have to be in a particular dress code. You have to you should not roam outside your classes during the lectures. So when you are when you are following all those, so these are all compliant. That means you are a compliant student. If suppose there is some student who are not following the dress code and you are not entering to the class when the lectures are going on, that means that these are non-compliant. You got it, Ashwini? When you asking control the traffic in the sense users get the okay. Control the traffic means I will tell you. Coming there are multiple policies, multiple routing policies are there which are used to control the traffic. So once you will go through the policies money, you will understand how we are controlling the traffic through Route 53. Okay, because there is not a single way to control the traffic through Route 53. There are multiple ways. So we are going to check that. Okay, Manish. So have some patience. We are going to check that now. Okay, now you understood what is Route 53. Let's go and check out all the policies. So before that, this is how Route 53 works. This is a user. User is suppose requesting, user is accessing www.example.com. This is one website from where he's trying to request some, information that will go to DNS resolver. DNS resolver is placed between the user and Amazon 53, which is just used to, used to process your request, user request to Route 53. So it is going to check with Route 53 for IP. What IP address? The IP address of the machine. The IP address of the machine which is hosting example.com. So it is going to check this DNS resolver is a mechanism which works between user and Route 53, which is used to which is just acting as a medium, so that this example.com domain, that information will be converted to Route 53, and from there it is going to get the information and send it back to the user. It is just acting as a middleman here. Okay. So now it is going to first check the Route 53 for IP address. So IP address is found now that example.com is hosted on 192.0.2.0. This is the IP address. So now the IP address and the information will be returned back to the DNS resolver from Amazon.53, and from DNS resolver it will be sent to the user, that is return IP address. So with this IP address, the user is going to get the response. Suppose he is trying to search some books on example.com. Suppose this example.com is a like book website where you can find different books which is published throughout the globe. So suppose he's trying to search some book, so that request will first go to DNS resolver. DNS resolver is going to check with Route 53 whether you have that IP which is hosting example.com. Route 53 is going to tell yes, we have the IP, so it is going to send the response along with the IP. So user is going to get the response from this particular IP, and response will be the name of the book which he is trying to access through example.com. A simple representation how the request and response works at the DNS level. Okay guys, now the main part comes, the different routing, Route 53 routing policies. These are different routing policies are there which we have to discuss. Okay, so I'm going to give you the examples also, okay, of this, so you have to understand this because you're going to be asked multiple questions based on the routing policies. Okay, so let's start with the policies. First one is a simple routing. Simple routing is a using a single server environment. Suppose like simple routing means like when you're using the routing policy, suppose there is one DNS is here, okay, and that website example.com. Let's look at that. Suppose example.com is hosted on 5 servers, 5 EC2 machines, and we are using a simple routing. Simple routing means it is going to route the request to multiple machines. So suppose I am the person who is trying to access one book through example.com. So once like in the simple routing, once the request will flow to the Route 53, then the traffic can be flowed to any EC2 instance among those 5. Suppose first time the request will go to the server 1, the second time the request will go to the server 3, the third time the request will go to server 5. So there's like it is not maintaining any kind of a sequence. It is randomly sending the request, like routing the request to multiple machines which are supporting that particular, which is hosting that particular application which is connected to a example.com domain name. So here all the requests, all the customer requests are going to random servers which is hosting your example.com. We are not maintaining any state here. It is going randomly. Maybe first time I am trying to access a book, trying to get some information from example.com, I am getting a response from server 1. Maybe the second time I am trying to access another information, I am getting a response from server 5. The same information other users trying to access is getting a response from server 2. So randomly, randomly the requests are going to different servers. It is not maintaining any state. And the second thing is simple routing policy does not support the health check. Apart from simple routing, all the different routing policies support the health check. So you may be tested like I want to create a routing and there is no requirement of health check. Then this simple routing will be the correct option among the other options, because simple routing does not support the health check. And here all the customer requests will be randomly sent to different EC2 machines which are hosting example.com. Okay. And now the simple routing is clear. Now let's move to second routing, that is your weighted route health check. Okay. So health check means to checking the health of your EC2 machine. Just now I told you, with the help of, we used to check the health checks to check whether your EC2 machine is healthy or it is unhealthy. Okay. Suppose the EC2 machines which are hosting your application are healthy or not healthy. Healthy and not healthy, I've just told you before 5 minutes. So now you can connect with that. Okay, healthy means your EC2 machine is active and running up your own issue. Unhealthy means your EC2 is down. So that means, so with the help of health checks, we check the health of a particular AWS EC2 machine or other resources which is hosting your application. Okay, Mani. Okay, now the first routing is clear. Simple routing. Let's move to the second routing policy, that is your weighted round robin routing. Okay, so this is your round robin routing is there. So as the weighted round robin routing means, like it assigns weights to a resource record set to specify the frequency. Actually, what happens? What is the meaning of weights? Weight means the traffic percentage. For example, let me give you the first example. I'm going to give you the example. Based on that, you are going to understand this. Suppose, for example, I am using a, I am running an e-commerce company, and which is currently based out in India. So I created the infra in India only, and now that product is successful, and now I want to expand it on, Europe region. Okay, I want to expand it to Europe region. So what I can do, like I will just use this weighted routing policy where I will define the weight of the traffic. So I can put like, like around 70% of the weight should come to my servers which is inside the India region. Let's suppose like Mumbai the region. And 30% of the traffic should go to, that's to the instances which are in US region where I want to, like, where I am just making an entry of my application inside the US market. Okay, so we are making a weight. The 70%, suppose, out of 100 customers, 70%, 70 customers will be hitting your your Indian servers, your Mumbai region server, and 30% are hitting the US servers. Okay, or let me give you another example. Suppose, like you want to, like there are application updates are there, guys. Like application updates are there. So, like sometime at the runtime to, we don't have to bring down our applications and we have to complete the updates. In that scenario, this weighted round robin routing is also very helpful. How? So suppose my application is running in like US market and Indian market. Now suppose, for Indian market, for Indian application, I want to do application upgrade where the people who are trying to access the I want to add another feature in the application which is running in Indian market for Indian traffic. So what I can do, for example, suppose like in starting 50% traffic was going to Indian for that server which is inside the Mumbai region, and 50% traffic was going to the server which is inside the North California US region. Now suppose that since I want to do upgrade the application here at Indian market, then what I can do, I will just change the weightage of the traffic. I will just make the weightage of the traffic at Mumbai region server as 0, so that 100% traffic will flow through the US region. And in between that time, my application is not down. I have the server which is supporting the application, which is in US, and here the application is not down, and then too I can do the upgrade. And now I can do the upgrade of my application. I can test it quickly, and then I can reshift the weight of the server. Like I can reshift to 50-50. That's how you can use this weighted routed policy. So you can yes, we are preventing the down server. Yes, we are not making our application down. Okay. So weight means the simple is that you can provide a traffic percentage where you want to send the traffic, and it also follows the round robin routing. This is an algorithm. Round robin is an algorithm. So which knows, okay, suppose there are 5 servers. 5 servers are there in suppose US in like Mumbai region, and so when this what this round robin routing algorithm does, it knows which request should be sent to which server. Suppose the first request will come to server number 1. Now the second request will go to server number 2. It's going to check the first server is busy, so the second request is going to go to server number 2. The third request will go to server number 3 because first and second server is busy. So it's going to maintain the state of the request, that every server inside a particular infra will get the customer request. So none of the server will be heavily busy with the customer request. Everyone is going to get the request in an equal way, like in a sequential way. That is the meaning of round robin routing algorithm. So this weighted routing policy supports round robin routing algorithm, and the main purpose of weighting routing is that with the help of weighted route 50 routing, you can specify the weight. You can specify the customer traffic which needs to be flow to a particular servers. Okay. So this is also now clear, guys. This weighted round robin is also clear. That's what just now I've defined, actually. Weighted round routing means where you can define the customer traffic in percentage, that what amount of customer traffic will be sent to which particular AWS servers. That is a simple meaning. What is the weight? Weight is a customer traffic in percentage. Okay, Ashwini, is it clear? Yes or no? Ashwini, I'm asking you. Yeah. Okay, guys, it's already 8 o'clock. So let's go for a break now. And once we return from the break, so before this, okay, we're going to first complete this. I don't want to keep this topic, okay, in between to drop the topic in between. So we are going to complete this first, okay, and then we're going to go for the lab. Yeah, after this break, let me complete this all the routing policy. Then we will go for break money. Okay, guys. Okay, let's connect after 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, guys, welcome back. So let's discuss the other Route 53 policies. Okay, so the next one in the list is latency routing. So latency routing means, with the help of latency routing, the customer request will be routed to the nearest server automatically. Because latency means, with the help of this routing improves your application, which are global application. How they improve the performance? So that the customer, suppose, I have an application, which is a global application, guys. Like I have an application, e-commerce application, which is there in Europe, which is running in Europe, US, and India. It's a global application. So, automatically, if I'm using this latency routing, what is going to happen? Whenever any customer request will come, it is going to go to the nearest server. Suppose, like you guys are in India, and like inside, like Asia, I have created my servers inside Mumbai region. So suppose you are in Bangalore, so you are trying to access your like a website, the e-commerce website. Your request will go to the nearest server which is hosting the application, that is the Mumbai servers. The same way, if there is some user who is in Frankfurt, okay, in Europe, or suppose who is in Ireland, okay, and trying to access the e-commerce application, then the request will go to the nearest servers which are built inside the Europe region. The same way for US guys also. So it is going to automatically check the nearest servers, and it is going to send the request to the nearest server. That means there will be no or very less latencies, which is going to improve the application performance. That is a use case of latency routing, which help you to improve the performance of your global application by sending the customer traffic or routing the customer traffic to the nearest EC2 servers or the nearest servers which is hosting your application. Okay, now let's move to another. Now let's move to your like edge location. Yes, you can consider that. Now the next one is your geolocation routing. So let's route the traffic based on the location of your of your user. Oh, my voice is breaking, guys. Srikanth is telling my voice is breaking. What about others? Srikanth, can you just okay, no problem. Srikanth, just try to reconnect. Okay. So now the next one is geolocation routing. As it is say geolocation, as it is telling geolocation. So here we are routing the traffic based on the location of the user. So for example, you have created a setup that your application is running in US and Europe market, and both are different. Suppose like inside the for the US customer, and the application is written in English, and for European you are using different languages which are the part of European, like French, like German, etc., etc. So now, based on the location of the user, suppose user is in is suppose there is a European user, like there's a France, like user is trying to access your application from France. Then based on the location of the user, the traffic will be routed to the European server. The same way, suppose there is a there is a user who is located in North Virginia, and now our servers are in North California. So based on the location of the user, the request will flow to that particular server, the US server. So here you have to based on the location of the user, the traffic will be routed to the to the corresponding server. So I've given an example. Suppose if you have a setup there are multi-linguistic applications are there. We suppose like same application. Suppose to give an example, there's a multi-linguist application where the same application is running in different language in US and different language in Europe and different language in India. Suppose in India it is in Hindi, in Europe it is in German, French, etc. In US it is in US English. So here based on the location of the user, so definitely these applications would be checking the location of the user. They would be allowing like they want the user to share their GPS location. So based on the location of the user, he is going to connect to that particular application. Okay, so that is the meaning of geolocation routing. Okay, now the next one is geo proximity routing. geo proximity routing is also similar to geolocation routing with an additional benefit. So here also we are routing the traffic based on the location. Okay, of your like whatever resources are there. Okay, and the added advantage is here for geo proximity routing. You can also add a bias, add a network bias known as network weight. You can also implement the weighting system over here in the geo proximity. So you can also make sure that how much customer traffic you have to send to a particular location. That is also added inside the proximity routing. Both geolocation and proximity routing are same. Only the thing is that geo proximity routing also support the weighted, where you can also add a network weight. You can also add a network weight to each locations also. And one thing I want to tell you, apart from simple routing, till now we have discussed weighted routing, the latency routing, geo proximity, and geolocation all support the health check functionality, where there is an additional functionality. So if you are using these routing policies, you can also take an advantage of checking the health check of all the servers which are hosting your application. Okay. And the next one is your failover routing. Failover routing is an active passive connection, guys. Okay. And so what is active passive connection? So it is a primary, suppose for example, primary and like simple routing will no money simple routing will not do health check. Okay, so failover is an active passive connection. Now what is active passive connection, guys? Active connection means the primary connection, and non-active connection is the passive connection means the secondary connection. If you remember yesterday, I've give you like when I was teaching you the site-to-site VPN, I've told you this VPN connection is highly available because there are two tunnels which are created. One is your primary tunnel, second is your secondary tunnel. So let's consider that primary tunnel as a active connection. So and your secondary tunnel is a passive connection. So what is going to happen? Till the primary is up, all the communication will go through the active connection, the first one. Once and the secondary is a passive connection because till the time primary connection is up, there won't be any movement of traffic inside the secondary tunnel. Once the primary is down, then the secondary tunnel will become active, which was passive earlier. Now it is going to become active. So once the primary component is down, then it is going to fail over the traffic to the secondary component. That is the meaning of failover routing. It is a very very useful routing technique, and it mainly used for the disaster recovery. There is a huge concept, disaster recovery. Suppose for example, let's take the example of a disaster in Ukraine. Suppose there was one application and servers were built inside Ukraine region. That was the primary servers. And suppose in near to that in Ireland, they have built secondary servers which is near to Ukraine. So what is done here? So suppose there was a war between US and Russia. So to make this whole connection highly available, where we have placed the primary servers inside the Ukraine location. Secondary servers are inside your Ireland. Currently, secondary servers are idle, not doing anything. So we are using a failover routing technique here, which is an active passive connection. So currently, the primary servers are active. So what happened before the war? All the communication was going through the primary channel, the primary servers inside the Ukraine. Now, at the time of war, the data center got hit, and all the hardware component got distracted. And because of that, now since we are using a failover routing, your application, your software won't be down. Your application won't face a downtime or a very minimal downtime. So now, what is going to happen? All the customer traffic, which was previously going to the active node, that was server inside the Ukraine. Now the active node is down because we also know there's a concept of health check. So with the help of health check, it found that now the primary resources are down. Automatically, it's going to fail over the traffic to the secondary node. And now the application is up, and the secondary servers which were in the island, it is going to host your application. That is the meaning of disaster recovery, DR. Okay. At the time of disaster, we use failover routing, which is very, very important. Okay, now coming to the multi-value answer routing. So before multi-value routing. Sorry, sir, the health check policy is done in, yeah, for all, Ashwani. Apart from simple routing, health check is done in all weighted latency, geolocation, geo-proximity, failover, and multi-value. All supports health check. Only simple routing does not support health check. Now, before moving to this multi-value routing, let me just start this lab. So by the time it is going to start, we can use that time, and I will explain the multi-value routing. Let me just come to this module 4. Click on the lab 1. Then I'm just going to simply start the lab because it takes around a few minutes. So I don't want to waste the time. Well, let me just start the lab. Then we're going to go for the topic. So okay, so by the time this lab gets started, let's discuss about this multi-value answer routing. So now this multi-value answer routing is similar to simple routing. Here also, the response we are getting in random manner. Suppose the same way as in the simple routing, we are having 5 servers which are supporting our application. Okay, so the request will go to random servers. You will get the response from random server. Only the difference between the simple routing and the multi-value answer routing is that the multi-value answer routing supports health check, which is not supported at simple routing. So suppose in the examination you will get you will get a question that you want to use a routing technique where you don't have to worry about the where exactly the customer request is going to which server, but you also want the health check to be associated with that particular routing policy. Then you will get then you have to choose which routing policy you're going to choose among those options. You will get simple routing, weighted latency, multi-value answer. So the answer will be multi-value answer routing because simple routing does not support health check. If they would have mentioned that there is no required of health check, then the answer would be simple routing, because only simple routing and multi-value answer routing sends the customer traffic randomly on different servers. They don't have to worry about that whether any server is processing multiple requests or any server is idle. Okay, so the correct answer will be multi-value answer routing. You are going to be test on these routing policies. So make it clear, revise these policies. Like I have given you example of each and every policy, revise these because you will be tested on this policy revise. Okay, so this is the policies. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to just do a recap of the policy. Simple policy, simple way. Just understand it. Okay, in a very simple manner. Simple routing, as the name say, it is the simplest routing where the request where the traffic is routed on random servers. No health check supported. Weighted routing, here you can define the network weight, like what percent of traffic is going to hit which servers. And here we are also using round robin routing, so where all the requests are going in a sequence manner. That is weighted round robin routing. Now the third one is your latency routing. Latency routing is the routing. No, that is not there. Nobody is asking you the lab. They will be asking you can do it from your end, but the lab is not here for this routing in this module. Okay, so the third is your latency routing, guys. So inside the latency routing, it helps you to improve the performance of a global application. How? So that the customer will be connected, the customer traffic will be routed to the nearest AWS resources. Okay, the fourth one is the geolocation routing based on the user's location. The routing will be done based on the location of the user, and it also supports the health check. Latency also support the health check. Weighted also support the health check. Geo-proximity also same as the geolocation. The only added advantage is that you can also control the amount of traffic you can send it to the particular AWS resources by defining the network weight share. Then move to failover routing. It is a active passive connection. Okay, active passive connection means once the primary connection is active, the traffic will route to the primary servers. Once the primary servers are down, the the traffic will be failed over to the secondary resources. That is your the secondary sites or your passive connection. That is the meaning of active failover routing, which is used for disaster recovery. And the final is your multi-value answer routing, the same as simple routing. Randomly requests are going to different server. Only the added advantage here, or the difference between the simple and multi-value answer routing, is that multi-value answer routing supports your health checks, which is not supported inside the simple routing. So this was about Amazon Route 53 separate routing guys. Okay, so let me see whether the lab is created. Okay, so before discussing this, let's go and complete this lab first. We're going to complete this a very easy lab. We're going to complete in I think nearly 20 minutes. Then we're going to move to this topic. Okay, so let's complete this lab first. So guys, as I told you, all the instructions are given here. These are guided labs. So each and every instruction, what you have to do next, everything will be written over here. So I'm not going to read out like all the instruction. I'm going to perform the whole lab, and laterally you can check out the instructions also. Like everything will be covered in the lab, but you're going to like later if you want to do the lab from your end, you can just check out all the steps. So let's first open the AWS console. Let me move it to another tab. Okay. Okay, so this is an IAM lab. So first we have to, click on the IAM service here. So there will be few resources which are created. Like 3 groups will be created. So what actually we have to achieve here? I think this is the thing. So 3 users are already created here, and 3 groups are already created. So user 1 we have to add it to this S3 support group. User 2 we have to add to EC2 support group, and user 3 we have to add to EC2 admin group, and these are the policies which are attached to each group. So let's check out the resources which are already created, and then we are going to do the lab. Okay, we are going to attach the users to correct resources, correct a group, and then we're going to validate each user login. Okay, so now let's go. Sorry. Okay, so look at this. First, to check the users, you have to under the IAM you have to select the users tab. Look at this. These are the 3 users. So currently these users are not added to any group. Okay. Now let's check what are the user groups. What are the different user groups which are created. So there are 3 user groups which are created: EC2 admin, EC2 support, and S3 support. Okay. So currently no users are added to these groups. Okay. So let's that money yesterday I've told you. Okay, we are going to lab. They have already few things will be created in the lab. Okay, how to create the user? I have showed you one video yesterday. I think you are not revising. Please revise the concept daily. Okay, I have showed you how to create the user yesterday. When we were doing this lab, IAM lab, there was one demo demo recorded demo. Okay, there all the steps are mentioned how to create the user. From there you can learn how to create the user. Okay, that is very easy. Okay, so please concentrate, okay, on the solution which is here, because in these labs few resources will be created. Okay, so please complete the lab as per the guidance. Inside the challenging lab, once you remove the challenging lab, there you have to create everything from starting. Okay, only fewer things will be created. So already I have covered that part in the recorded demo. Please revise the concepts for me. Okay guys, so now so this is there. Now let's check out, okay, what are the policies attached to there. So first, under the S3 support, okay, you will go to the permission tab, and here guys, okay, just open this policy. This is the S3 read-only policy. S3 read-only policy, we can just download some object. Get means to get the file from the S3 bucket and to list all the objects and the buckets. That you can only see the number of buckets and objects inside a particular AWS account. That's why it is S3 read-only policy. Okay. And now, so that is only for your reference. I'm not going to go for Lambda now because that is not the part of here. So that is there. Okay. Now let's move to another user group and check out the policy which is attached. And just like money, like to create the user, it is a very simple thing. You can click on the users, money, just concentrate and click on add user. So from here you can create another user. That is the way. Just give the username and then you can create a user. Same steps were given in the recorded demo, but that is not the part of this lab. Okay. But this is how you can create the user, a very simple way. Okay. So now first user group we have checked, guys. Now let's check out the another policy of another user group. Okay. Why are you confused, Nikhil? So till now, just I have explained you. So Nikhil, till now, as per the lab, okay, I've told you, 3 users are created, user 1, user 2, user 3. You can see the users here. And under the user group, these three user groups are created where different policies are attached, Nikhil. Okay, so we have checked the policy of S3 support. So S3 support, if you will check out the diagram, S3 support only have a S3 read only policy. The user one can only see the the S3 buckets and the objects inside the S3 bucket. So the same way I have defined under the policy. So how you can see the policy? It is under the permission. If you go under the permission and you click on this policy tab. Okay, so look at this. This is an AWS managed policy which they are attaching here, and this is the policy settings. So here they're telling S3 get an S3 list. That means user can get the object. User can download the object from S3 bucket, and user can only see the number of files inside a S3 bucket, and he can also see the number of S3 bucket, but he cannot modify anything inside the S3 bucket or to add another object. That's the meaning of S3 read only access. There is a policy which is attached there. Okay. So till now I've discussed this only. So is it clear, Nikhil? I'm just telling you which policy is attached to which particular group. Okay. So now let's move to another group. Okay, and let's check out that also. So for that, just go up and go to one step back, user groups. Okay, and look at this. Now let's check out EC2 support user group. This is the EC2 support group, and currently no user is added here. So under the permission, this is the policy. This is also AWS managed policy is there, which is Amazon EC2 read only policy is there, guys, which is attached. Under this policy, you just check out this part. So effect is allow. What is the action EC2 describe? EC2 describe means that you can see the number of EC2 instances created in a particular AWS account. Okay, and resource means star that it is applied for all the EC2 machines. Whether it is like you created 10 EC2 machines, that is visible to this EC2 support user. Whether there are 100 EC2 machines, that is visible to EC2 user. So that is a permission which is attached here. So don't worry, we are going to test these. Once I'm going to test this permission, then you will understand better. Okay, so this is for EC2 support user, for EC2 support group. Now let's check out another group. Okay, the third one, which is your EC2 admin. So under the EC2 admin group, okay, we have attached a policy, and this is the policy which is a customer inline policy where which is created by a customer. Okay, so what this policy say? So this EC2 admin can, under the action, look at this. Under the action, he can see the list of EC2 machines on the EC2 console. This user can also start the EC2 machine, and this user can also stop the EC2 machine. So for each group, S3 group, there were different policy attached. For EC2, for EC2 support group, there was a different policy attached that user can only see the number of EC2 instances. For this EC2 admin, user can, apart from seeing the number of instances, user can also start those instances and can also stop those instances. So now we are going to test each user. First, we are going to attach each user to a particular EC2 group. Then we are going to test whether these policies are working fine or not, guys. So till now, these are whatever resources this lab has already created for you that I have explained. Now let's complete the task. So first, let's add user number 1 into let's add user number 1 to S3 support group. The same thing. Look at this. User number 1 to S3 support group. So I click on S3 support group. So under user tab, currently you can see there is no user attached. Now click on add user and select user 1. Okay. Now click on add user. So now look at this. User 1 is added to S3 support group. So as I have told you, since we have created a S3 support group and we have attached the policy to a group. Now, if I will, if I will add n number of users to the S3 support group, all this policy will be automatically added to the user. So for this user 1, now this policy will be automatically inherited. This S3 read only policy. Okay. So now let's add user 2. Where we have to add user 2? User 2 has to be added under the EC2 support group. Let's select the EC2 support group. And under the user tab, click on add user and add user 2. Click on add user now. Now look at this, user 2 has been added to EC2 support group. Now click on user group and now add the third user inside your EC2 admin group. So click here EC2 admin. Now look at this. The third user will be the part of EC2 admin group. Okay. Under the add user, select user 3 and click on add user. Now this user 3 is added under the EC2 admin group. Now under the user groups, you will find the one users are already added. Now if you want to see which user is added to which group, you will click on users tab and here you will find. Let me refresh this. Look at this. User 1 is a part of S3 support group. User 2 is a part of EC2 support group. User 3 is a part of EC2 admin group. Now if you want to see whether the permissions are added to user or not, that also you can check. Just click on user 1. And look at this. Under the permission, now automatically S3 read-only policy has been added because this user is a part of S3 support group. Okay, the same way you will find the respective policies attached to another users as per their user groups. Okay. Now for example, suppose for this user 2 is a part of EC2 support group. So look at this. For here also the permission got added here. EC2 read-only access. The same way that other policy was added for the user 3 under the third EC2 that EC2 admin user group. Okay. So this is now clear. Now like since all these users are since all these users are the part of this same AWS account. So from where you will get the URL to access these IAM users, you can click on dashboard and this will be the signing URL. Okay, so just copy the signing URL because now we are going to log in as each user so that we can test these policies, whether these policies are working as expected or not, guys. Okay, so now let me just copy this URL and save it over here. Okay, so using this URL, let me open one Ignito mode because if I am going to open another account in the same browser, then this is going to close. That's why use new Ignito window and here open this, paste this URL. Now let's get the credential of user 1. So that will be under your lab instruction. Go to your lab instruction, guys. What is this? Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so look at this. Currently, we have done this part. So currently, the task 1 is complete, guys. Expose user and group. I have showed you what are the users created, the 3 users, 3 groups, and what are the permissions attached to it. Now we have moved to the task number 2. If you will read out everything, it will tell you the whole stuff, whatever I have explained you. Okay. Now this was the business scenario where we have to add user 1 inside the S3 support group, user 2 into the EC2 support group, and user 3 into the EC2 admin. And these were the permission. User 1 can only read the S3 buckets. User 2 can only read the EC2 instances, and user 3 is an admin who can view, start and stop the EC2 instances. Okay. So that we have completed inside the task 2 where I have added individual users to the individual groups as per the diagram. Okay. Now we are into this task where we have to sign in and test the users. So the first user we are going to signing in. So this is the ID and password of first user. Just copy the ID and password and let's try to access the user. Now user 1. So let me copy this password also and paste it over here. I think it's not pasted. I have a problem of copying and pasting when my buttons are not constructed. Paste it. Okay. Now click on sign in. Now look at this. On the left side, you will find with which user account you have signed in. Look at this. You are signed in as user number 1. At that, this is our account ID. Look, if you will see the URL, this is the URL of my account. So this will be the URL common for suppose all 3 users because they are the IAM user for this account. Okay, guys. So now look at this. That's why you logged in as user number 1. Now user number 1 was a part of S3 group, and S3 group. Look at this. User 1. If you want to see here under the users, user 1 was a part of which group? S3 support group, which means he can only see the number of buckets and objects inside a particular AWS account. So let's check out whether this user is able to see that. And we are also going to check out whether apart from the permissions which are mentioned inside the policy, can this user can also access other services as well. Let's check out. First, let's select S3. Okay, you can just select S3 from here. Click on S3. Okay, and look at this. So this user can see the number of it. So this account is currently having one bucket, simple bucket. If you click here, so currently no objects are there. So I've told you this is a S3 read-only policy was there where user can only see the number of buckets and objects inside a bucket and can download the objects, but it cannot upload the object. So let's try to upload one object. Let's see whether we are getting error or not. If we are getting error, that means this particular policy is working as expected. Let's add a file here. Ethnus, let me add this file. I will try to upload the file. Look at this, upload fail. Because user is not having the permission. This is a S3 read-only policy is added. That's why user can only read the number of buckets and objects on this particular console and can download the object but cannot upload the object. So this policy is working fine. Now let's check whether apart from S3, can user also access other services. So let's check out EC2. Let's see whether user is able to see the number of instances because that policy was not added for this user. So let's check out that. So I'll go to the instances and look at this. You are not authorized to perform this operation. That means the policy which is attached to S3 support group, that was S3 read-only policy, is working as expected. User can only access S3 console, can only see the number of buckets there and number of objects inside the bucket, but cannot cannot create the objects inside the bucket or create the bucket and cannot access any other service. So user 1 is tested successfully. Now let's log out from this user and let's try to access user number 2. We are going to use the same URL, guys. Just let me copy the URL and paste it over here. Okay, now let's get the user number 2 credential. So user number 2, first of all, user number 2 is a part of EC2 support. EC2 support group has the policy, if you remember, EC2 read-only policy, where a user can only see the number of EC2 machines on a particular AWS account. So let's check out whether this policy is working as expected or not. So let's get the credentials for the user. So we'll just come down. Okay, now let's sign it as user number 2. So let me copy this user. Okay, let's paste this ID. Now let's copy the password also and paste the password over here. Let's try to sign in. Now look at this. We are signed in as user number 2 because from previous account we have logged out and now we are using user number 2 credential to sign it as user number 2, guys. And now let's check out. So first of all, let's see what this user can, whether user can see EC2 instances or not. So whatever service you are going to recently visit, it will come under here. So from here, that's why I'm clicking on EC2. So you can search from the search bar as well. Okay. So look at this. Now we are currently in. Okay, you have to change the region. So we have to perform the lab in North Virginia. So make sure that you are using a North Virginia. You are setting a North Virginia region. So look at this. Under North Virginia region, we have 2 instances. Now look at this. User can see the number of instances. So this was only EC2 read-only policy. Now let's check further. Now let's test further. Okay. Let's try to stop this instance. Let's see whether we are able to stop or not. Let's stop this instance. Look at it. Fail to stop the instance because you are not authorized to perform this operation. That's why you are giving a granular permission. The person who is added as a user 3 EC2 admin can do this task. But currently we are validating user 2. User 2 is not able to stop the machine because he can only see the number of instances because he is only having that kind of access. EC2 read only access. Okay, so now this is tested. Now let's see whether this user can access S3 buckets or not. So let's check out S3 bucket. Under S3. Look at this. You are not authorized. You don't have permission to list the buckets because for this user only user can access the EC2 instances, can only see the list of EC2 instances over the EC2 console. So this policy is also working fine and it is correctly implemented to user number 2. Now let's log out from user number 2 and let's sign in again as user number 3. Let me copy this URL again. Paste it over here. Okay, now let's get the credential of user number 3. So if you will see, user number 3 is a part of EC2 admin, and EC2 admin has the policy that user can list all the EC2 machines, user can start the EC2 machine, and user can stop the EC2 machine. That is the policy which is, or the policy or the permission which are mentioned for user number 3. So let's check that. So to validate that, first get the credential of user number 3. So you come down and get the credential of user number 3. This is the username. Let me copy this, guys. Paste it over here. And the password. Copy and paste it over here. Let's sign in. Now we are signed in as user number 3. So look at this. This is user number 3. This is account ID. So this is an EC2 admin user. So first, let's check whether this user is able to access other services apart from EC2. I'm clicking on S3. Let's check out whether it's able to look at this. You don't have permission to list bucket because this user cannot access any other services apart from EC2. So now let's search for EC2 here. So this is an EC2 admin which is having permission to start and stop machine also. So look at this. Currently he can see the number of instances running, number of instances which are there on the particular AWS account. He can see that because that was also permission added to him. Additional, this admin can also stop the machine, but we were not able to stop the machine using user 2 because he was a part of EC2 support group. Now let's try to validate this. Let me try to stop this machine now. Look at this. We can do this. Successfully stop the machine. So that's how you have validated all the 3 users which are having different policies attached and they are working as expected. So now the lab is, I think now the lab is complete. We have validated user number 3 also, and this brings to an end to the lab. Okay, so I have performed all the steps. You can, if you want to check out all the in detail, you can just read out and try to perform the steps. None of the steps has been missed. I performed all the steps, guys. Okay, so this brings you to the end of the lab. You can just close this. Okay, and you don't have to log out from the AWS account. What you can do, you can just simply just close this and end the lab. And come here and you can just end your lab. This is going to take your evaluation and it's going to mark your lab as complete. This was very simple lab where what we were doing, we were just testing that whatever permission we were giving to the user, is it working as expected? That's how the IAM, like IAM users, like IAM admin works. So now the lab resources are getting terminated. Just close this and move to the module, and now you can access another lab as well. So based on the instruction, based on the guidance, we are going to do the labs. Okay. So please do the lab. It will be really, really helpful for you. Okay. And suppose if you want to perform something extra, you can do under the sandbox where you can perform any experiment of your choice, but the lab experiment will be performed in a particular way which is a part of the lab because we cannot do anything extra in those labs. Okay, that's right. Okay, I hope the lab 1 was very easy. Now please complete these labs. This user ID and password were automatically, actually I am telling some resources were, like some resources were created, okay, by this AWS people who have designed this lab. So they have already, created a password for these users. These user ID and passwords are automatically generated when you create a user. I've showed you a recorded demo. When you're creating a user, that time you can select whether you want to provide a user a programmatic access or a normal or a AWS console access. Suppose you are giving him a AWS console access, that time you can assign a username, like a username and a password, random password you can assign, and that password you can share it to the user, and then user can log in the same way. One signing URL will be there, the same URL will be for n number of users who are created in your account. Okay. Okay guys, so if access, read and write access for all the user means read and write access means money that user can also write. For example, let me take an example of S3. Suppose if I'm giving a read and write access, then I was trying to upload one file. If I've given a write access, that means I can easily upload the file on any S3 bucket. But since it was read only access, I was not able to upload the file because that was a restriction. I can only read I can download the file, but I cannot upload the file. I cannot delete any bucket. I cannot delete any object because that was out of my scope because those policies were not assigned. Group name is our choice. Everything is your choice. Creating a username is your choice. Creating a group name is your choice. Just whatever I am teaching you, please also check out the recorded demo, guys. Because completing both recorded demo and lab, you will get a overall solutions. Guys, okay, so please check out the recorded demo. That's why I'm taking each and every recorded demo, so that I can explain you what is going inside the recorded demo as well. Okay, so guys, is it clear? Yes, Vivek, you can add a single user into 2 groups as well. You can add a single user into multiple groups. That is possible. Okay, so guys, please perform the lab. And one request for tomorrow, the VPC lab. These are very simple instructions. Go through the instruction, try to complete the lab. If you do the lab to some extent, you will understand some topics from your end. Tomorrow I'm going to perform this VPC lab also, but I want you guys to please at least try, because many of you have not tried this lab. VPC lab, you will learn more. There will be more tasks as compared to this. This was a very simple lab, I would say. Okay. And coming down, when we go for the challenging lab, there you have to create the resources. Money, you were asking me why this user, because this lab are created in a way. For guidance lab, they have created some resources. For challenging lab, we have to create the things from our end. Okay. So, and whatever, suppose you want to learn how to create the resource, that you can do. If I need to give read and write access to all users, means I have to change the policy. Yes, you have to change the policy as admin. Very good. Money. You have to change that policy as admin. When I'm getting okay, no. When I'm logging to the console home, ignore that error, Sandeep. Okay, ignore that error. But you make sure that you are that. But you have to make sure, Sandeep, that you have to, like whenever you are trying to access any user account, please use inside the incognito mode. Don't use inside the same browser, because you have already logged in with another account in the same browser as admin. So please make sure that thing. Okay. It's easier to understand when you show the things virtually. Understood this lab? Okay, great. But please, Shafna, please try to do this lab from your end also. It will help you a lot. Okay, guys, let's move back to the topic now. We still have 10 minutes. So let's check out this thing, okay? Okay. So now, guys, let's take an example of DNS failover for multi-tiered web application. So here, look at the record set. So this is we are using here, failover, like this failover routing policy, and this is our primary side. Look at this. User is like user traffic is going to Amazon 53, where we are using a failover routing policy. And we all know failover routing policy will have active passive connection. That means there will be one primary infra and there will be one secondary infra. So under the primary infra, guys, this is the primary infra where like there is one load balancer. This is a sign of load balancer, and load balancer is distributing the traffic to EC2 instances which are in different availability zone. A highly available solution. And then these EC2 instances are connected to a relational database, RDS database instance, and this RDS is deployed into multiple zones. And look at this. This is the primary database, and from this database, it is copying the data to this secondary database. This is the infra for the primary side. And now what they are doing, the infra for secondary side. So once this primary infra is down, then the failover will be done to secondary infra, where they're using a S3 bucket to host a static website. So with the help of S3 bucket, you can also host a static website. So this is a dynamic website. But suppose if the failover is going to happen, then the traffic will be routed to the S3 static website. So suppose let's start the scenario. So currently user is trying to access the website through Route 53. So the primary Like under this record set, look at this. This was the record set for primary. Okay, so routing policies failover and record type is primary. So now all the traffic will go to the primary infra, to this where we are using load balancer, issue to machines and different availability zone and supported by a relational database service. So all the traffic will go to primary setup. So one fine day, suppose after 6 months or a year, some disaster happened to the region where this primary setup is, where the primary infra is created. Now when the disaster is going to happen, that means, this Route 53 routing policy is going to check the health check of this load balancer. Because from this load balancer, the traffic is routing to different AC2 instances. So when the disaster happened, these all components got failed. Now the health check is, now all these components become unhealthy, and then what will happen? The failover is going to happen. And now whenever user is going to access this application, the traffic will be failed over to this secondary setup. And the secondary setup is a S3 static website. So now user is going to see the S3 static website. The same website in a static form. That's how we do the failover. The failover has been done. From primary, we have shifted to the secondary. This is just an example. In secondary also you can create the whole infra. Don't think that this is this is the only example. It's not the only example. They have just used S3 bucket as a secondary source where they are accessing where they are hosting a static website. But you can also create the whole infra here as a secondary. Then also once the primary infra is lost, then automatically Route 53 failover failover routing policy is going to failover to the secondary infra. So all the traffic will be failed over to the secondary infra. That's how the disaster recovery is achieved in a quicker way. Yeah, guys, you have to submit. You have to complete all the assessments, all the labs to get the batches, your AWS graduate batch. So please complete all the and to get the certificate also. So please complete all the labs. So please try to complete all the labs, okay? Otherwise you won't get the batch and the certificate. And once you will complete all the labs, then only you will get the then you will get this completion certificate. So they are going to evaluate whether you have completed all the labs or not. Okay, and you also have to complete the questions, guys. Each and every module is having the knowledge check questions. So please try to complete those also. Okay. So now this DNS failover is completed, and now let's check out the key takeaways of this section. So what is Route 53? It is a highly available and scalable DNS web service that translates domain name into IP addresses. So with the help of Route 53, you are going to map your domain name with your IP addresses. Route 53 supports several types of call routing policies. You have simple routing policies, latency routing policy, failover routing policy, geolocation, multi-value answer, geo-proximity, failover, etc. And weighted also. Multiple region deployment improves your application perform for a global audience. Definitely when you're deploying your application in multiple region, you are making your application highly available, and definitely when it is deployed to multiple region, then the people, the customer will also get a good application performance because the customer is going to connect to the resources which are deployed near to the user's location. So you can use different kind of a routing policy like latency routing policy where the customer request is going to go to a nearest server. You can use Route 53 failover to improve the availability of your application. Definitely I told you Route 53 failover policy is used for disaster recovery. So we have seen the example how the traffic was shifted from primary to secondary node at the time of disaster. Okay, so this was about section number 5. So now we are going to move to section number 6, that is the Amazon Cloud Front. So let me just give you if the score is less, then it will affect anything. Money, you can do these left n number of times, so you will get a good score. You have to complete the whole score. Please do the left again and again to get a good score. Okay. Maybe you would be needing some kind of a score to get the certificate. That's why please perform the left. If you think you are stuck in some lab, just perform it again. If you are getting a low score in some lab, perform that again. Definitely you will get a good score. Simple, because you can access these labs multiple times during the tenure of 2.5 months. So utilize this opportunity and utilize these resources as much as possible. Now let's move to section number 6, which is Amazon CloudFront. So let's discuss this topic tomorrow because we only have 2 minutes left. So I'm not going to start this topic. So guys, two homeworks I've given you. First, you have to complete that activity, guys. The activity of to design a VPC. Also, yeah, same with you. Yeah, these Q